Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call today's meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, March 12th, 2013. This is a village board meeting. It will be followed by a committee of the whole meeting following this meeting. The time is 7 o'clock. First item is our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Booth, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gatuso, Mr. Novak,
Present.
Mr. Perry,
Present.
Mr. Sloan,
Present.
Mr. Stecker,
Present.
Mr. Yurkovich,
Present.
Mr. Polio.
Present. We do have a quorum. I want to thank everybody for attending this evening as well. Looks like we have a rather full house in our board meeting, and it's encouraging and refreshing to see. Before we get on with our presentation of this evening, I do want to acknowledge one of the board members here. I told Nick I wasn't going to do it, but I changed my mind.
Thanks.
For those of you that don't know, Governor Pat Quinn appointed Nick Stecker, one of our trustees and a firefighter for Franklin Park Fire Department, as a member of the Illinois Fire Advisory Board for the state of Illinois. And it was effective February 20th, 2013. I was lucky enough to administer the oath of office to Nick, and I'm certain as a career firefighter and the gentleman that he is in handling public safety items, that he will do a great job for the state of Illinois in that capacity. So I want to thank you, Nick, for assuming that role and certainly representing Westchester and your department to the best of your ability.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, our item number 4, our first item, presentation by NORCOM. I know at our last committee of the whole meeting, there was a presentation by the NORCOM officials. We've asked them back. I think there were some questions that may have not or may have been answered that we certainly want to go over again. So I will turn the floor over to someone from NORCOM. Certainly introduce yourself to not only the board but the audience as well, and we'll go from there.
Good evening, Mayor Polio and Board of Trustees. Thank you for inviting us back to give another presentation about NORCOM. My name is Michael Tillman. I'm the Vice President for NORCOM Public Safety Communications. To my right is Donald Nielsen. He's the Executive Director for NORCOM Public Safety Communications. We're going to kind of go through our presentation that we gave 2 weeks ago at the last board meeting. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop us during our presentation to ask questions.
Okay. As Mike said, my name is Don Nielsen. By way of introduction, I'm going to introduce Michael first. Mike is Vice President of Metro, NORCOM, and PBS, 3 sister companies within our parent company, Superior Ambulance. Mike has managed single 911 centers and consolidated 911 centers over the course of his career, which has lasted 19 years. He first began as a 911 telecommunicator, then moving on to a full-time police officer. Mike is active within the 911 industry still, serving on 2 committees for APCO on a national level, the Call Center Standards Committee, and in Illinois, APCO, the Public Service Announcement and Education Committee.
I'll tell you a little bit about Don Nielsen. You'll see RPL after both of our names. I'm going to get into what that is a little bit later in the presentation. Donnie is our Executive Director of NORCOM. He's a bachelor's in marketing from Loyola University. Donnie's managed single 911 centers as well as consolidated 911 centers. He has 20 years of experience in public safety communications, starting out as a public safety telecommunicator. He served as a part-time police officer. He's managed an IT department for a police department and a 911 center. He also currently serves on the Illinois APCO Public Service Announcement Committee and Illinois APCO's Emergency Medical Dispatch Committee. He also currently serves on electronic telephone system board for the Village of Franklin Park. I want to talk about the history of our company. NORCOM was founded in 1994. It started out, actually, NORCOM itself started with the North Lake Fire Protection District, and I have Chief Rob Holmgren here from the North Lake Fire Protection District, who I'm going to call up a little bit later to give you a history about NORCOM. But at some point, the North Lake Fire Protection District approached our company and asked that we run their dispatch center, which included some other fire departments. And it's evolved today to where we're dispatching for 9 fire departments and 4 police departments and Mavis Division 20 out of our consolidated dispatch center. Our parent company is Superior Air Ground Ambulance. They've been in business since 1959. They started their business right here in Bellwood, Illinois, right next door to Westchester. Through our companies and our affiliate companies, we service 72 municipalities and fire districts throughout 4 states. Our consolidated dispatch center is located in the lower level of the Leiden Fire Protection District in Franklin Park, Illinois. It was built in 2005 with all brand new equipment. Some of the benefits of consolidating with NORCOM, we believe it's a partnership, and there's a lot of benefits to the village and any of our clients who use our service. And the village becomes insulated from financial liabilities and risks associated with hiring, maintenance of 911 telephone equipment, workman's comp injury, maintaining a budget to fund capital improvement plans, maintenance agreements, which are very costly, health insurance, costs associated with training our dispatchers, and maintaining appropriate staffing levels. Our company philosophy statement, which I'm going to read to you because it's something we really believe in and we think it's important. NORCOM is committed to providing cost-effective emergency dispatch services through innovation, accuracy, and exemplary customer service. NORCOM answers all 911 and non-emergency calls with professionalism, integrity, and compassion while efficiently dispatching police, fire, and emergency medical services. To attain effective emergency dispatch services, NORCOM has established professional standards. NORCOM attracts, trains, and retains the most qualified employees necessary to provide emergency dispatch services. We find positive solutions to any problems. NORCOM's purpose is to integrate its emergency dispatch service with the response of its client police and fire departments and exceed the expectation of its clients and its clients' constituents. Customer service is essential to our success, so we treat each caller with empathy and respect. We routinely offer life-saving medical instructions in addition to providing accurate information to our public safety agencies. We are the first responders. A little bit later, we're going to play some tapes to the board, to the audience here, to demonstrate our customer service to people we talk to over the phone.
So, I'd like to talk about some of our personnel qualifications to kind of follow up on some of the things that Mike was talking about. Our program that we put into place is nationally certified and meets that standard for our telecommunicators. Some of the things that we train our personnel on: leads, law enforcement agency database system, essentially for law enforcement. Public safety telecommunicator 1, advanced fire service from APCO. Our managers are certified APCO Institute instructors, and I have some of the manuals over here, thank you, Mike, that we can pass down. In addition to that, we have a basic training academy that we host in our center off the dispatch floor, which is kind of unique and something that the size of our agency allows us to do. That program is at least 160 hours that goes beyond the materials that you're going to look at now. We have background checks that are thorough for our people through fingerprint inquiry because they do hold a PERT card. The PERT card itself is because we operate an alarm board in our center. The Illinois Department of Professional Regulations requires that we have that. NEMRT, we do use the NEMRT program, which is probably used by your police department as well, Northeast Multi-Regional Training, and we host all sorts of classes that come through there. Finally, two things: NIMS, management, the National Incident Management, and IDPH license for Illinois Emergency Dispatch, as required by 210 ILCS. So the training program for our telecommunicators is designed to meet best industry standards, best practices for APCO and NENA both. We do show a commitment to learning through continuing education. Every month we have a training program that we use our CE for our dispatchers for, not only for emergency medical dispatch, but for regular call taking as well. Our personnel attend national and state conferences to further their education and to serve, to enhance their careers. Mike and I have also presented on a national level at state and local conferences.
I mentioned earlier there's RPL initials after our names, and it stands for Registered Public Safety Leader. The RPL program is a leadership program through APCO, which is the Association of Public Safety Communication Officials. APCO and NENA, the National Emergency Number Association, are both nonprofit organizations that set standards for 911 centers. APCO's RPL leadership program is a 12-month program. It's pretty comprehensive. It's online. And there's not too many people in the country that have obtained that certification. Management material is provided by APCO in conjunction with the American Management Association. Both myself and Donnie have graduated from the RPL certification program. We require all of our managers at our 911 center to attend the RPL program. Currently, we have 2 of our managers attending one of the sessions. With the APCO RPL program, the student learns the ability to communicate with authority, build and manage high-performance teams, break down the barriers to solid interpersonal communications, enhance teams, lead with confidence and integrity, make a difference within our association and our industry, and apply the skill sets learned for the betterment of our association and our industry. The class requires that the student complete an industry-specific course assignment and a service project that is on the state level, regional, or national level. The service project they want to be something that's going to benefit the 911 industry or benefit the association, and it's a requirement to graduate from the class. In order to take the class, you must be an APCO international member in good standings, an active member with a demonstrated record of service to the association. You have to be willing and able to commit to completing and critiquing the program requirements, and dedicated to accepting the challenge of ongoing leadership and service for the betterment of public safety communications.
So we're going to talk a little bit about our emergency medical dispatch program now. We are a EMD facility. We are linked through our resource hospital, Loyola University. As providers in that system, we have certain requirements, and we do provide life-saving instruction. So we're going to end up playing a tape for you here shortly. However, Mike, can you go to the next slide, please? We provide callers with a variety of first responder maintenance techniques. They go from everything, what we call the ABCs, okay? Basic head, tilt, and airway maintenance, control for bleeding, Heimlich, so choking, CPR, and then childbirth assistance, among other things. And it goes all the way down to simple slip and fall, all the way up to CPR. So, specific treatment process for sequences for choking, goes through that. We also have what we call PDI, post-dispatch instructions. And essentially that's instructions for responders as they're coming in. As we relay that, it gives them the information. So it gives some of the examples here. PDIs include turning off power sources around an electrocution victim, getting out patient medications, putting away family pets, and maintaining a patient's airway, breathing, and circulation. Again, what we call the ABCs. So we're going to play a call for you now. We did blank out the caller's name and telephone number, so you're going to hear maybe a little bit of skipping in there. This is for a call for chest pain that was received in one of our agencies, okay? You'll see on that, Michelle, could you please bring those up? I know the larger card set's going around, however, what you're going to see is what we use for one of our QA books. And this would be card 10 with the dispatcher would see. The audience will be able to see that as well as in our slides.
What Trustee Novak is holding in his hands, it's flip cards that are at every one of our workstations in the dispatch center. They're protocols that are established by priority dispatch and governed by Dr. Seshan, who's in charge of the Loyola EMS system. So right here in Maywood, your paramedics here at Westchester and most in the area are part of Loyola's EMS system. Our emergency medical dispatchers are also a part of Loyola's EMS system. and they go through the same continuing education requirements that your paramedics go through. So we're going to play this call, we may pause periodically to walk you through what's happening.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Yeah, this is not the fire department to transfer.
Okay, are you the one having the chest pain?
No, it's my husband.
How old is your husband, ma'am?
He's 70.
Okay, is he awake?
Yes,
And he's breathing?
yes.
Any,
He's just been uncomfortable for about an hour, and he just thinks that something's going on.
okay, my partner is dispatching an ambulance. I just need to ask you a few questions, okay?
Okay?
Now, you said he was having chest pain, correct?
Correct.
Okay, is he completely alert?
Yes,
Is he breathing normally?
yes.
Okay. Is he changing color at all?
As soon as that, he just came and woke me up. I was sleeping in
Okay.
another area.
All right. Is he clammy?
Let me ask him.
Okay.
He's playing. He has off and on.
He is clammy?
Off and on.
Off and on? Okay.
The
Has
clacking
he ever had a heart attack or angina before?
Not heart attack. I don't know about inside of particular. He's never diagnosed.
Okay. Did he take any drugs or medication in the past 12 hours?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
He takes.
He took your medicine last night, Ron.
He said he took it last night?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
He took a baby aspirin and some other regular prescription.
When did he take that?
Oh, what time do you think he took that? Around 6 o'clock, maybe.
Okay, so at least 6 hours ago?
Yes.
Okay, so you do have the baby aspirin, correct, ma'am?
He did have that, yes.
Okay,
We'll not
but
mention none of that.
okay, but he took that 6 hours ago, correct?
Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, has he vomited blood or in the past 24 hours?
No.
Okay. He hasn't passed any black or bloody stool in the past 24 hours? No?
No.
Okay, if you can get 4 baby aspirin and tell me when you have them.
Okay.
And you have the baby aspirin, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you,
Go do that now.
yeah, go get those for me now?
Okay, just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, I got them now.
Okay. Could you give him 4 baby aspirin and tell him to chew them right now?
Okay. 4 seconds, 1 to go.
Has he done that, ma'am?
Yes, are you swallowed, Ron?
He's swallowed? Tell him he can have a little, just a mouthful of water to wash it down if he needs to.
Yeah, 1 mouthful of water. 1 mouthful. Okay, he's done that.
Okay. What I want for you to do is reassure him now that help is on the way. Just have him rest in the most comfortable position and wait for help to arrive.
Okay.
I want you to watch him very closely. If he does become less awake or he vomits, quickly turn him on his side.
Okay.
Do you have any family pets in your home?
No.
Okay. Do you have a list of his medication?
I probably can get it. I don't have it handy.
Okay. If you don't have it, if you at least have some of the medication, you know, the bottles to show the paramedics, that would be fine.
Okay.
Could you unlock your door?
Uh-huh.
Do you have an outside light that you can turn on?
I can.
Okay. I can stay on the phone with you until the paramedics get there, okay?
Okay.
If you need to do something, ma'am, just go right ahead, put the phone down, and just come back to me. Just let me know that you're going to step away, okay?
Sure. Okay. I'm gonna go put the light on.
Okay, wonderful. Just put the phone down and then come back to it when you can.
Good.
Are they there now? Okay, ma'am, I'll let you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So one of the things I want to cover regarding that call, you heard early on, almost immediately, the dispatcher, or it's actually in this case, the call taker, telling the caller that her partner is dispatching the ambulance. That's something that happens immediately. The dispatcher is required to gather basic information to dispatch on the call. So look at the name, phone number, address, a chief complaint, and immediately dispatch the call. So while that call taker is on the phone with the patient, or in this case, the patient's wife, the ambulance is being dispatched by the call taker's partner. And you also hear that our call takers will tell the patient to turn on a light. In this case, it was 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Our first responders know that if they see a light on, they pull down a block at 3 o'clock in the morning, they see a light on, chances are that's the house. And they have the address, but it's that much quicker for them to identify which house they're going to. Do you have anything else, Dave?
No, please, next slide. So, the next part of this call is ensuring that we do a good job on it. And actually, we did review the call, and I think the dispatcher did do, or call taker did do a very good job. So the QA reports, and in that packet I passed out to you, you're gonna find some QA reports for different types of calls. The one that you see on the screen here is an EMDQ, so a QA for an EMD call. We do these regularly. It is part of our system entry to Loyola that we do maintain these. We do all of our ABCs, so all of our serious calls, your CPR, your childbirth, choking. We go through all those. In addition, we pull random calls from each dispatcher each month on their other calls as well. And it's to make sure that they are doing the right things, and we use them as coaching tools. And make sure that there's things that we can do to improve them. I mean, none of our people are perfect. It is a difficult job, and there's always things that can be done to improve each level of service. So that's what we use our QA for. In addition to that packet, you're going to find some QA for other types of calls. Mike, can you go into the next slide, please?
Yeah, one thing I want to touch on first is, with our EMD program, to do EMD correctly, you need to have a lead EMS instructor. We employ a lead EMS instructor. She's a paramedic firefighter with the North Lake Fire Department, but she's also a part-time 911 telecommunicator with Norcom. So she oversees our EMD program, and her license depends on it as a paramedic. There's a kind of a hierarchy with the EMS system. She reports essentially then to Dr. Seashine over at the Loyola EMS system. So she'll oversee our QA program, our EMD program, and she'll proctor our continuing education program.
So quality assurance is not only part of our EMD, we do it as part of our regular calls as well, and I know we kind of talked about this in our last presentation. We do believe that quality assurance is an essential part of the services we offer and running a 911 center in general. And it is an easy thing to do to make time for, but it's something that is essential. So Mike and I would like to play some audio for you on a couple other calls. We have a police call and a fire call from one of our client agencies. Again, this is something where you're going to hear the audio. The audio is cut, particularly to try and cut the information out. In addition to that, our recorder is going to play in sequential order. So the things that you're going to hear, are you playing the shooting first?
Yes.
Are going to play, they occurred simultaneously, they're going to play in sequential order. So in other words, the first call started, it's going to play that to its completion, then you'll hear the radio dispatch to the dispatcher. That happened at the same time, and it'll kind of pair together when you hear the recordings. But that one starts immediately thereafter. So we did have multiple calls that come in, and it's one of the hardest things that 911 centers dispatch centers deal with, whether it's a single or it's a redundant agency. When you have a hot call, the phones are going to light up, and whether that be a traffic accident at a busy intersection at rush hour, or an armed robbery or shots fired, whatever it may be. So in this case, you'll hear this. We did receive, I believe, 3 calls on this incident.
One thing I want to point out, as Donnie indicated, you're going to hear the call taker asking the questions. The call taker tells the caller, stay on the line, do not hang up, you're going to hear dead air. That's when this call taker then turned into a dispatcher and immediately dispatched this call to give the information to the officers. When you hear this dead air, she's actually dispatching. You'll hear the dispatch later on in the tape because again, these are coming in sequential order. If we played them at the same time, you wouldn't be able to understand what
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Hey, honey, yeah. It's just been a shooting on Rice Street. I don't know. I want to say maybe what, the 1000 block?
1000 block of Rice?
Yes, and it was a black Chevy Impala. She just came down Rice.
Is that a black Chevy Impala?
Yes, she went down east on Harrison Street there.
East on
She's
Harrison?
probably jumping on 290, yes.
Okay, ma'am, do you know
I
if
couldn't get
anyone...
the plate.
Do you know if anyone was shot?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody was shot. I think he shot 5 times.
You heard 5 shots?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Hold on,
besides,
ma'am.
yes.
Ma'am, just hold on one moment. You're going to hear silence, okay? Do not hang up.
Okay.
Now she's just,
Oh, my God.
you'll hear that the next stage. By the way, the call taker can hear the caller on the line.
Oh, Jesus.
She just can't hear you.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, my officers are on their way,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
Did you see anything else?
I haven't seen anything else, but I will let you all know if I do. Okay, thanks, honey. Bye-bye.
324 available bell units respond for shots fired. 5 shots heard. 1000 block of Rice. 100 block of Rice. Stand by for further multiple calls.
En route.
332-10-4. Bellwood units, the offending vehicle is a black Chevy Impala, last seen eastbound on Harrison.
All right, they're probably going to the expressway, 10-4.
Bellwood units, the victim is going to be at 1029 Rice, 1029 Rice. What's the address of your emergency?
Yes, I'm calling. Someone just got shot. A drive-by shooting right on Rice and what's this middle street?
Rice and Van Buren, and is one person down?
Yeah, the guy's down. He shot. Somebody shot him and kept driving.
Okay, did you see the vehicle?
No, I just heard the shooting. I came out and the vehicle was going down the street. So I didn't really...
Do you know which way the vehicle went?
Yeah, straight down Rice, going toward Harrison.
And you don't have a color or anything?
No, somebody else may have seen it.
Okay, we do have officers en route.
Okay, thank you.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
I don't know. It's 10:30 something.
Okay, on High
Shooting. There's been some shooting over there.
Okay, did you see anything happen, or did you just hear the shots?
Ma'am, I heard about 6 shots. I thought it was
shots?
somebody nailing.
Okay, did
But
you...
I come out and I see people running everywhere.
You see people running everywhere? Are they on foot or in a vehicle?
Feet and everything. I don't know who did the shooting, though,
Do
ma'am.
you see anybody on the ground? Anybody hurt?
I don't see that either.
Okay, all right. Do you know what direction they went in, or ran in, or were they running in all different?
People I see running towards the shooting.
They're running towards the shooting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are there people out front now?
Right now, less than 2 minutes ago, less than 30 seconds ago.
Okay. All right, ma'am. We are sending the police and an ambulance. Okay. Are you sure you don't see anybody hurt?
I don't. But I do declare you get over here as fast as you can.
Yes. We are on the way. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
One of the things I want to point out with that call is it was a shooting. We have working at the 911 center anywhere from 6 to 8 dispatchers, and when you get a call like that, multiple lines are going to ring simultaneously. The amount of dispatchers that we have there, they're all able to answer the calls quickly and relay the information to the radio dispatcher so that they're getting the pertinent information. And in some cases, with certain calls, you may have different witnesses make different observations. In some cases, as you see in this call, someone did get a description of the car, others didn't. It does aid when you're able to answer those calls simultaneously and get a description out as quickly as you can to the responding units. We're going to play one more call. They wanted to play because it shows the type of service we provide to the callers and the phone type of care. But it also shows that our dispatchers know the jurisdictions for which they dispatch. In this case, it's a call in Stone Park, and the caller couldn't really give a location. She said some sort of church in Stone Park, and our dispatcher recognized the church right away. I'm going to play that next.
Stone Park Police, this is Lisa.
Yeah, on 36 in the church parking lot, my car just got hit by some guy. Can you get police officers?
Okay, what church are you at? Are you by, is it St. Charles?
The Borromeo, yeah.
Borromeo?
And Supple.
36 in Softball?
Yeah.
Okay, are there any injuries, ma'am?
No.
Okay, and what kind of vehicle are you in?
Pontiac Vibe.
A Pontiac what?
A Vibe.
Okay, and what's your license plate?
Mine is Henry 824556.
Okay, and what's your name? And is the other vehicle still there?
Yeah. For your,
Okay, what kind of vehicle is it?
I don't know, what is this? A pickup Chevrolet? A pickup Chevrolet?
Okay. What color?
Red. And you know, algo me dijo que no me puedes decir.
I'm sorry?
Oh, no, I'm talking.
Okay. And what color is your Pontiac?
Mine is a navy blue.
Okay. Okay, you said there's no injuries, correct?
Right.
Okay, Mr. Arnold, go ahead and watch for the officer, okay? And is anybody arguing or everybody's compliant? Okay, go ahead and watch for the officer.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, bye.
So these were calls that came out of our QA process. You know, I think they are good examples from, you know, a more high priority call to a lower priority call, although it's, you know, the lady in Stone Park, that was probably the biggest thing that happened to her all week. So we do listen to these calls regularly on our dispatchers. We do sit down with them and discuss this with them. Again, the packet you have, whether they're a call taker or a dispatcher that day, we can review the call with them in that type of format. So the next thing we want to talk about is Illinois TERT, Telecommunicator Emergency Response Task Force. This is a program that NORCOM belongs to. We are one of the, actually it's a nationwide program, but within Illinois there's Illinois TERT. And what it is to dispatch world is what MAVIS is to the fire service, or ILEAS or NIFAS is to the police service, and it's essentially mutual aid. So what this is meant for is if there is a long-term type event that impacts your dispatch center, for let's say a tornado that were to come through this area, God forbid, and a couple of our dispatchers' homes were affected, or their lives were somehow impacted, they couldn't come into work, or that we had an extreme demand, that we needed help. We could issue a call into Illinois TERT and get assistance from other TERT member agencies to send and deploy their dispatchers here. It also goes outbound. When the floods hit Marion, we did send one of our people down there for a couple days to assist with them as well. We're kind of proud of that program. It does work very well. And there is a little bit additional training for our dispatchers, even beyond our other training materials that go into that. So yeah, it's here to assist Illinois PSAPs in crises and situations. So that's what we do with it.
I want to talk about our benefits and compensation package for our personnel. Our average salary at our dispatch center is about $45,000. They do get wage increases each year. We do have a retirement plan with a company match. We do offer Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance to all of our employees. It's PBO only. Vision and dental insurance, paid time off, both sick and vacation, AFLAC, which is supplemental insurance or additional paid time off, accidental death and life insurance. They automatically get a $10,000 policy, but they can enroll in elective supplemental life insurance policy that's very cost effective. It'll cover their entire salary for the rest of their life for pennies taken out of their check. It's the buying power that we have with our company. We have 1,600 employees in the Superior family, so with that kind of buying power, there's an economy of scales there with our health insurance and life insurance and plans like that. We also have a long-term disability plan for our dispatchers that are off duty and they're going to be out for a significant length of time. They will get 60% of their pay tax-free while they're out on disability. We also have an employee assistance program. One of the things that makes the Consolidated 911 Center pretty unique is that we have a total of 8 workstations, and they're divided into 2 separate groups. 4 of them are dedicated to fire and EMS dispatching. The other 4 are dedicated to law enforcement dispatching. All of our people are trained to be call takers, and they're all emergency medical dispatchers. Well, when it comes to dispatching either law enforcement, fire service, or EMS, they're either trained for law enforcement dispatching or trained for fire service and EMS dispatching. We usually have a minimum of 6 dispatchers on at all times, but sometimes 8 dispatchers around the clock. Each position has different responsibilities. Some of our positions, the dispatcher may be assigned to call taking for that day. Another position, the dispatcher may be assigned to radio dispatch that day with additional duties. Some may monitor fire alarms. Others may make leads entries to enter stolen cars, missing persons, and stuff like that in the lead system. This is what our positions look like. The difference between a police dispatch position and a fire and EMS position. With our law enforcement dispatch position, you'll see cameras in the background. We do monitor communities' blue light cameras, which we aid our communities in protecting early crime prevention. Our fire and EMS position, the difference between the two is, again, they're trained specifically for the fire or EMS service. They do not have access to leads, although they can if we had to. And the fire position also monitors all of our community's fire alarms. So again, another picture of the blue light cameras that we monitor at our 911 center.
Okay. So a couple of our qualifications that we're kind of proud to let people know about is we dispatch for Bensenville Fire Protection District in our DuPage County agency. DuPage County ETSP contracted with PSAP Concepts and Solutions to conduct an audit for compliance with Part 725 that controls the Emergency Telephone Systems Act for 911 centers. And I believe Westchester is familiar with that group, PSAP Concepts. At any rate, they came into our center, they came and sat with us for a while and did an audit over stuff, and they found that we were 100% compliant. We are proud of that. I don't know that everyone on that list was 100% compliant, but we did meet that standard, and happy to announce that. The other one is for our ISO rating, and this applies usually for fire departments. We sat down with the ISO people and went over the communication section of the ISO review, and for the communication section, we scored a 2, actually improving some of our agency's scores overall for their agencies, whether it be a fire protection district or municipality. And that is the second best score you can get. So we're also very proud of that fact as well.
Integration of our dispatch services. We work with our clients, both their police chiefs and fire chiefs, to make sure that we're meeting their needs relative to the dispatch services. We do have a board of advisors that are made up of our client police chiefs and fire chiefs. We meet with the board of advisors every month. It's on an alternating basis. 1 month is with the police chiefs, the following month is with the fire chiefs, and that is to address any of our changes in our standard operating guidelines or general orders, which we also have. I don't know if that's been handed out to the board yet, but we do have all of our general orders and SOGs contained in a book that you guys are free to look at. So that book will contain all of our general orders and standard operating guidelines. We do work with our clients to try to develop universal guidelines for all of our agencies, but we don't necessarily make it mandatory. We will customize the needs to our clients to meet their needs. One of the other benefits to using NORCOM's Consolidated Dispatch Center is that we offer fixed multiple year costs. Currently, the Village of Westchester does pay us for mutual aid box alarm dispatch services. It's $3,500 per year. And if the village, if the fire department has a fire and requires mutual aid, they can't contact NORCOM to dispatch the mutual aid to assist them with the structure fire. If the village were to move their dispatch center and consolidate it with NORCOM, that fee would be waived and would be inclusive of the fees that we would charge for the services. The fees that we would charge for the service are reflected in the proposal, also on this presentation. There's a one-time buy-in fee, which is $100,000. That buy-in fee reflects a one-time buy-in to the infrastructure of the 911 center. Again, that center was created only a few years ago with state-of-the-art technology, and it's constantly upgraded. Year 1, year 2, year 3 costs are reflected. Year 1 is $477,349. Year 2 is $491,669. Year 3 is $506,419. Now that's our fees. There are other costs associated with for the village. There's going to be a one-time cost in infrastructure via microwave to connect the village to Norcom, depending on what the village needs. I can't stress this enough. You know, the one-time cost could be as simple as $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, or it could be $50,000. It depends on how elaborate of an infrastructure you want in place. We did work with the village of Franklin Park and dispatch for them, and they deployed a very sophisticated microwave system because their plan was to use a microwave system to connect all village buildings. I don't know if that's the village of Westchester's plan, but I'm giving you worst case scenario numbers. The reoccurring costs of the infrastructure, if you will, is not going to change. The village already pays reoccurring costs for phone circuits and stuff like that. That cost is not going to change. It's going to remain the same. One of the things that I want to point out is, you know, Donnie mentioned PSAP concept and solutions earlier, who came and toured our 911 center and audited it to make sure that we were compliant with the Illinois Commerce Commission. The village contracted with that firm last year to do a consolidation study with the village of Westchester, village of Broadview, and the village of Hillside. That study revealed that if the village were to consolidate with those agencies, village of Westchester would only save about $543. Broadview and Hillside, it would cost them more money than it currently costs to operate with them standing alone on their own. My point is that the prices that we're offering is significantly cheaper than what PSAP Concepts and Solutions quoted in building a consolidated 911 center for the 3 agencies. In fact, if you compare those numbers to what we're offering, the village is going to save $300,000 over the course of 3 years. Insurance, we're fully insured. We have workman's compensation insurance, professional liability insurance, comprehensive general liability insurance, and in our contracts we indemnify and hold harmless our clients. We also name our clients as additional insureds on our insurance policy. Retention and hiring of personnel. Anytime we work with the client to consolidate their dispatch center into our dispatch center, we offer to hire their dispatchers. We do not want to see dispatchers displaced. We can find them a job. In addition to our consolidated 911 center, we provide staff to other area government-owned 911 centers, so we always have spots where we can find people a job. We prefer that, you know, the majority of them come over by us to help with the transition, but it's not required. But we will offer all the dispatchers a job. With our hiring process, we use a computer-based system. It's called Critical, and it's an industry-recognized software to test applicants' skills. It does not require that the applicants have experience, but it does tell us how fast they are reading and listening comprehension. It has map reading, prioritization, mathematics. It's a 3-hour test, and we require that they get 85% or above, or we won't move them on through our interview process. In addition to that, we have a written test called Selective Vantage, which is being passed around to the board. That is very similar to your police and fire test. It's a written test that has some psychology in it, and also is a behavior test that tells us the type of person we're hiring. Once they pass both of those tests with the Selective Vantage, it's called the T-mark. You have to get above the T-mark before we consider them. We'll move them on to a panel interview process where they're interviewed by a group made up of our managers, supervisors, and dispatchers. We put a lot of time and effort in making sure that we hire the right personnel for the job. Our hiring process ensures that we provide dedicated and loyal personnel to serve our communities with pride.
So some of the other additional resources and services that are offered to the client agencies that are part of the consolidated center there. Our parent company is Superior Ambulance, so we have access to specialized EMS vehicles such as EMS golf carts, bicycles, helicopter. We have a large number of ambulances. On the right-hand side there you can see our antique ambulance that we use for festivals and parades, and certainly that would be available to the Village of Westchester as well. It is something that is just an added benefit to joining an organization that is as large as ours. So something to think about.
One of the other things I want to point out, consolidation is nothing new. There's a lot of agencies that have done it in Illinois. I want to cite a study that the board wants to look at additional information. It's on the FCC's website, the Federal Communication Commission. There was a council that was appointed by the FCC called the Communication Security, Reliability, and Interoperability Council. Its study found that consolidation can produce long-term cost efficiencies by reducing operations, technology duplication. It also found that consolidation results in better trained and more focused workforce, increasing the level of public safety. Third thing the study found is that the technical infrastructure has become increasingly complex over the last decade, translating into both higher maintenance costs as well as increased training requirements. Next generation features such as next generation 911, video converged voice, messaging, data, and video will introduce multimedia to current workflows. I know that sounds Greek to many people in here, but what they're talking about is the next generation 911 telephone system, which is going to be driven by that as a nationwide broadband network where dispatch centers are going to be required to answer 911 via text message, video messaging. Today's 911 telephone system, your standard 911 telephone system, is anywhere from $500,000 to $500,000 to $1 million. Your next generation 911 telephone systems are going to be well over $1 million. So one of the benefits with consolidation is you're sharing the cost of that infrastructure with multiple agencies. The other finding the study found was that shared standards-based systems lead technical, operational, and financial advantages. And again, this is on the other side with the radio. There's a lot of agencies now going to digital radio systems. It's called P25. Those are very expensive radio systems as well. DuPage County deployed a county-wide radio system that cost $30 million. Those systems are used to, they can send text messages across their portable radios. They can locate all of their individual personnel on a map using that radio system. Another finding the study found is that traditional revenue streams to fund capabilities are not keeping pace with the cost to refresh and maintain technology. I think we pointed out at the last meeting that there's two funding mechanisms that the villages use to equip their 911 center. One is the ETSB Act, the other is the WETS Act. The WETS Act is set to sunset July 1st, 2013. That act sunsets, and there is measures in place through APCO and ENA to try to prevent that from happening. But if that does happen, I estimate that the Village of Westchester is going to lose about $100,000 in revenue through the WETS Act. So I kind of reinforced why it's important to consolidate, and I'm going to summarize it in the next two slides. Again, shared resources and costs between multiple governmental agencies reduces price factors for costly equipment, professional services, and personnel costs. Dedicated police and fire dispatching ensure that highly specialized training is specific to each discipline. A very important factor, this is required by law, compliance with the emergency medical dispatch mandate from the state of Illinois.
Go ahead. Other reasons to consolidate with 911. Having a dedicated management staff around the clock. 911 centers operate 24 hours a day. When you operate a single center, it's hard to have someone there. Every one of my shifts has a supervisor. We have managers who work separated hours so that they're there as well. Again, we have a new state-of-the-art computer-aided dispatch system, and I'll talk about that a little bit in the next slide. Reduction in overhead costs associated with personnel management, technological infrastructure. I've already detailed that pretty well. And ability to harness new technology, such as fire station alerting. new trends that are coming out in the industry, new things of that. Again, when you have shared agencies, you're able to take advantage of some of those things. So another reason we moved to 911 Center in Norcom, we have our digital map interface to the computer-aided dispatch system in E911. We employ, one of my supervisors went to school particularly for this, went to Elmhurst. At any rate, what you're looking at on the right-hand side is a map of our 911 system, and then on the left is the overlay that he put on top of that. That kind of shows the street-level view, whether you use Google Earth or whatever. It'll pinpoint your location, and that's as much art as it is science, kind of a little bit both. So what we do is we match that up, so when a 911 call comes in, we can most accurately find a person. Cellular 911 doesn't work like 911 from your landline. It kind of gives you an area where you're at. There's a standard there that is not necessarily as pinpointed as when you pick up your house phone. However, with technological advances like this and using our CAD system, we are able to take advantage of all the technology and pinpoint people's locations.
One of the things that we have with the mapping system.
I got a question on that. And when you're talking about cellular pinpointing, so for example, I'm going to use the example, we have a Gladstone Park, and a 5-year-old is with his grandfather and walking in the park, and granddad passes out. The 5-year-old's smart enough to pick up the cell phone, call 911, and said, my dad's, or my grandfather's passed out, and following protocol, the question is, where are you? I don't really know. I'm in a park.
Sure.
Now, maybe the 5-year-old doesn't know that it's Gladstone Park, that it's off of Gladstone, So is that what you're talking about, the cell phone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's, most modern phones today have a GPS chip in it. And the GPS, this is really dependent on the cellular phone company, not us. If the cellular phone company is capable of retrieving a GPS location off that device, it will transmit it to the 911 center, and it will display it on this map. Our dispatchers are also able to perform what's called a rebid. So if the person's moving, we can constantly rebid and pull the location of that phone. If GPS is not available, or for some reason the phone company is not able to deliver the GPS coordinates, it'll also work and try to triangulate the caller's position using 3 cell phone towers to try to triangulate the location of that phone. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
One last thing I want to add about this map. This is GIS technology, which is also driven by GPS. It's geospatial technology. And this is what is going to pave the way for next generation 911 telephone systems. When you talk about texting 911, you're not going to know where that person's at unless they tell you. And what the industry is concerned about is someone's going to say, text 911 because they can't talk and say I'm being shot, but they don't give a location. With this GIS map, the cell phone companies are going to be able to coordinate their location using that GPS text, so that when they text 911 don't give a location, the text is also going to apply to the map. So it's very important that you have a GIS department, the geospatial technologies, for when you move to next generation 911 telephone systems, you're already ahead of the game. We have all of Division 20's map in our system, so we do already have Westchester's map in the system.
And another thing related to this, I don't know if Mike wants to get too far into this, but that did answer your question, of course, but the other thing we do is we work outreach in the community for 911 education as well. It's one of the benefits, and it's not on our slides, but we do have a 911 education team that goes out to schools, senior centers, that kind of thing, and educates people on this, because not a lot of people know that about their cell phone, okay? April, we do a full-out, full-blown press on schools and that type of thing, and certainly Westchester will be included as part of that. But yeah, how many schools did we visit last year? Maybe 20 schools, something in that nature. So yeah, and we've given presentations, everything from kindergarten all the way up, through up into high school. So it is something we work in with your community as well. Okay.
Question for you, with hearing impaired technology, that's always been a stickler where the person may have an older set that they're not hitting the space bar to give you an idea that it is a TDY type machine. What
Sure.
type of equipment do you have for the hearing impaired operations?
Yeah.
First of all, our call taking policy takes over a little bit of part of that. If you have an open line, if best practice is not to assume that it's nothing, it's blank space. So if we hear nothing on the line, certainly if you hear the bottom tones or whatever they launch it, but otherwise, our dispatchers by policy launch a TDD message that goes out across the line, okay? So that is one of the things that we do. Our TDD is linked into our phone system, so it automatically comes up and sends it through there. No one has to take the handset like they used to in the old days when I started as a dispatcher and do that. The other thing is, the deaf tend to use more of a relay service now, whether it be video relay or a traditional relay where they call an operator relays the message as well. Finally, text to 911 has really been one of the big pushes for the deaf community. And I actually just took part in a webinar, which is why I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Verizon is starting to do text to 911. They're working on our system to say, listen, if you want to sign up for this, you register for it. And again, the deaf is one of the big push for it. They will link that line in through your TDD system. So it can come through in that type of method. And dispatchers are used to using that system now. They also have different methods. You can go through a website or whatever. But the point is, that TDD machine is not going away anytime soon for our 911 staff, and it is something we are, again, very familiar with. Mike,
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
One of the things when we first started talking about outsourcing 911 is that we will lose the familiarity with Westchester, that our current 911 staff knows Westchester, and moving it to a outside location, we will lose familiarity with Westchester. That was an issue in people's minds, that there will, they will lose this. Can you comment on that?
Yes, I can. Couple things. One, ironically enough, we already have a couple dispatchers, too, to be exact, that live in Westchester. Two is we routinely send our people on ride-alongs with the police and fire department so that they can know the area, know the landmarks. They're actually assigned a written assignment to ask the police officer or firefighter that they're riding around with specific questions. What should they know? Where's the railroad crossings at? Where's the schools? Where's the parks? Stuff like that. And most of our dispatchers live in the immediate area. So, like I said, we have two in Westchester. We have a couple in Melrose Park, a couple in Stone Park, a couple in Bellwood. So, they are familiar with this immediate area. And lastly, you brought up the scenario with the park. If someone doesn't know the address, but maybe knows the park's name or knows the business name, our computer-aided dispatch system is programmed with that information. So if you only have a business name or location name, we can plug that in, and it will aid the dispatcher in determining where that location is.
Thank you.
So we have a list of references that are also included in the proposal that was sent to the village. The proposal also contained a list of contact names and phone numbers for the village to call upon for references. But in addition to that, I did bring some of our clients with, some of our police chiefs and fire chiefs, and I'm going to ask them to speak, and we'll keep it, I promise to keep it short because I know we're running long, but they're here to give testimony about their experience with Lorcom. And I'm going to start out with Chief Witz first from the Franklin Park Police Department.
Thank you.
I've been with the department almost 30 years now. I've been a resident of the community for 47 years. The village contracted with Norcom back in 1997. We've used them since then. During those years, I served as deputy chief, a commander, and a patrol officer. During the years I was in place as a commander and above, we were considering consolidation for many years. In 2011, we decided to go in the direction of consolidation for many reasons. One was cost savings. Saves the city about $300,000 a year. If you didn't know, our current police station had not been maintained over 16 years. And Department of Labor came in and shut us down about 30%. So the city opted in 2009 to purchase land and build a new police station. That's what we're doing today. We hope to move in by August of this year. by going to the consolidated center, it not only saved the taxpayers of $300,000, it also saved us in the area of our ESTB funds. Those funds can now be utilized for purchasing radio equipment and new and updated laptops over the future. Our funding last year was about $120,000 in the bank account. Today we have over $250,000 by the consolidation move. There's been a tremendous amount of time spent by our IT department. We have 3 IT members of the department, and they spend not only hours each day at our 911 center, but the equipment needs to be constantly replaced. Our department was currently in the process of looking for new equipment. We figured it was going to run us about $450,000. Instead, the village of Bolingbrook was nice enough and generous enough to give us some of their old stuff. We are now currently positioning that in our basement of our Fire Station 2 at Scott and Addison. That's going to be utilized as the backup center to Norcom. The quality of service has been first rate since 1997. We moved in that direction due to personnel issues. I'm not going to lie to you. In the late 1990s, our village went through some rough times. Mr. Durkin's aware of that. We had some political issues. So our dispatchers took it out on the police department. It was a way for us to fix that problem back in 1997, and it's been a great partnership since then. One of the things that we have, and Mike talks about the 24/7 supervisors. Our department, when there's, back in the day when the dispatchers were working on midnight shift, there was no supervision. It was our watch commander. By going and consolidating 911 center, we're guaranteed a supervisor that can answer our watch commander's decisions and questions on the street. The old way was the watch commander was on the street and there was no way he could monitor what was going on in our dispatch center. So it was a win-win for the city to go to consolidation. Consolidation is happening throughout the state. Every time you pick up the paper that I pick up, we see that there's articles written on consolidation from the north side up in Lindenhurst to down on the south side. So that's the reason we moved. Norcom's been great to us. Do you have any questions? No?
No.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Chief.
The next person I'd like to call up is Chief Rob Helmgren from the North Lake Fire Protection District. As I indicated earlier, Chief Rob actually started Norcom, so he can give you a little bit of history about Norcom, and also he's a client now, so his experience with Norcom as well.
Hi, good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good. I'm going to make this quick because they've hit everything, and Chief Harden hit everything too. Consolidation came about approximately in '92. I was approaching other municipalities in regards to consolidating the money savings, etc. The only ones that really bit was Superior. I sat down with Mr. Hill at the time. We went through all the numbers. We went through with the technicians, the radio technicians, what needed to be done, whether we were going to have councils, whether we were going to have pods. One of the main things, we were going to have police separate from the actual EMS side, so that our fire department. So we'd be separate. We wouldn't have confusion. Looking at what I had, I've been chief now for 21 years. I've been there for 35, and I got my master's degree in business organization / consolidation. So this is what this all came from, and everybody is consolidating. So it's not something that's going to go away. It's here, it's staying, and it's moving on because it truly is an avenue for cities, villages, and / fire districts to really save money. Now, I'll jump ahead now, because I don't want to bore you with all the 20 years ago and what had to be done. But a lot was done. There's a lot of professionalism now. They're not afraid to educate their dispatchers. They're not afraid to bring in your dispatchers, okay, your telecommunicators. Now, granted, there are some qualifications, but you want to know what? There's an opening there for people to say, hey, we want to do this. My little district, in the last 18 years, is about $3.4 million to the good by putting this consolidation together. Now, when I discussed this with the CEO of Superior at the time, I said, I guarantee you this will work, because I've seen this work across the country. And I've watched DuCom out west, and I know that we can do it here. The biggest thing is I didn't have money to put into this project. It was him that put the money into it to make it work. But it was planning for 2 years before we actually opened up and started. And I got to tell you, what have you done? In January and February, they've done 14,800 plus calls. Have you had any big glitch? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm just saying, that's a lot of calls in the first 2 months. They're not here to say we can do everything perfectly, because everything doesn't happen perfectly. But when there are problems, I expect one of these guys getting back with me as soon as possible. And that's how it's been. So, I don't want to bore you with a whole lot, but are there any questions that maybe I can answer for you? They probably answered all, and I'm sure Chief Woods did too. All right, we're good?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
I also have Chief Tom Rafferty here, and I think he's probably really important, not because he was the retired chief from Westchester, but because he's recently retired chief from Leiden. So not only was he a client of Norcom, he was our landlord. We leased space from the Leiden Fire Protection District. So if anyone knows us really well, it's Chief Rafferty.
Stories I could tell you. Again, my name is Thomas Rafferty. My family's been here since 1924. I served on the department for 31 years, 17 as chief. Retired and went to Leiden and served for 7 years there. And I've had a long-term relationship with Norcom, because it did start in 1994. I was chief in 1989. The consolidation process really started out because of all of the Mavis agreements, people working together. I remember working with Deputy Chief Cooley at the time to start going on the police side to help out with their beginning stages of it. We've had a good relationship all along. Are they perfect? No. They make mistakes, but they correct them. They train their people really well. They're not afraid to spend money on training. They do it in quarters and they do it out. They send people downstate. They're top notch with that. They do try to incorporate people from other agencies into their agencies instead of just losing all the personnel that you have that you become familiar with. Over the last few years, since at least I've been there 7 years at Leiden, we've worked very closely with them to make sure that we have backup systems for not just our fire department, but also for them, so that they have multiple redundant systems there for power losses, floodings, and all those kind of things. And we've had a good relationship with them on that aspect of it. I've also watched their business expand downstairs to bring in not just other fire protection districts, but also bring in other communities like Bellwood and Melrose Park and Stone Park, where they're actually dispatching for both police and fire. And as they pointed out, every month there is a meeting. 1 month it's with the police departments, the next month it's with the fire departments, and we try to go over any issues that keep us up to date on how they're training their personnel, where they're sending them, what improvements they're going to make. The keys to consolidation, just like it is with Mavis, is the fact that we can't do it alone. Every community, for example, has to have a technical rescue team, and that is because if you have a public works department, you have to have standby personnel trained to go in and assist anybody in a public works department who might get trapped in a trench, might collapse in a sewer. Well, every community cannot afford that. You're talking $300,000 to $400,000 in training and equipment, and another $300,000 or $400,000 just for the vehicle. By doing things together, things are much cheaper. I've been a fan of consolidation for 20 years. I'm a taxpayer too. You know what? You can only go back to the taxpayer so many times. There's only so much money that's out there. So the more we do together, the better it is for everybody. The more the people that you have, you're calling into, it's better for the public because they're getting qualified, expert dispatchers, and they're able to communicate with the fire departments and police department to get us out on the street with the proper information. And as Mike or Donnie had mentioned, they do ride-alongs all the time. They did it with our department too, and they still continue to do it. Even though it might be your first time, they're going to keep doing that, where they send their dispatchers out with you to learn more about the business. And I will answer any questions you got. I just have one complaint about their presentation, and that is they referred to that Cadillac ambulance as an antique. As Mayor Puley and I both know, we started on one of those ambulances. That's at least
we drove those ambulances as well.
So if anybody's got any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
just want to make one comment for Tom. I was running the 911 center when Tom was the fire chief, and we worked very well together. I remember this one call when Tom was a young firefighter and I was a young police officer. We went to an ambulance call of was a trustee not breathing on Thanksgiving morning. And I remember Tom giving mouth-to-mouth resuscitation in an attempt to save Mr. Gerace's life that morning. And it's one of those things that has stuck with me for all these years. And you're certainly a professional in Westchester and certainly in Leiden Township. And you've done a great job and a great service as a firefighter your whole career. And I wanted to make mention of that. I was on that call that day. Could go into some other detail, but you rose to the level of occasion. Sir.
Thanks, Chief.
The last guest I brought with is Director Harvey. He's the Director of Public Safety for the Village of Bellwood. He's in charge of both the police and fire department.
Good evening, Board. I'm going to come and talk to you a little bit about the fears that Bellwood had when we first consolidated. I was on the 911 board in Bellwood. I've been there for 25 years. I was on the 911 board, and I believe I was the last holdout that did not want to consolidate because I was a firefighter, I was a fire chief, now Director of Public Safety, and as a firefighter and fire chief, I believed our people could do it better than anybody else, and I stuck with that. Needless to say, I got outvoted, so we did consolidate. But one thing that they did for us is they took all the dispatchers that wanted to go to Norcom, they took them. So about 95% of our dispatchers went to Norcom, some went other places. We did not lose any quality of service. We thought that our dispatchers were the best, and we didn't want to share. But one thing that Norcom did when they brought them over, they trained them their way. They still knew Bellwood. They still worked for Bellwood. And not only did they work for us, but they taught the other dispatchers that work for Norcom how to work for Bellwood. So we still get that quality service. And we think our dispatchers are the best, and I know Westchester dispatchers are the best, but you won't lose them if they can go over and consolidate and work well with them. As you know, from Bellwood, we're a very busy town. We get a lot of calls every day, and sometimes we get overwhelmed with calls. We've had nothing but professionalism from Norcom in handling every single call. The other thing that I like about Norcom is I'm a stickler. So I pick up the phone 12 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning to call these guys if I have a problem. The other problem that we thought we had was our police officers and firefighters didn't want to work with Norcom. But we instituted a plan that we started sending police officers and supervisors over to Norcom to sit with the dispatchers, to learn the dispatchers. We started having the dispatchers come over to our town and learn our police officers in an effort to get to know each other. And ever since that point, we've had nothing but outstanding great working relationship between our police department, our fire department, and Norcom. So I'm just here to let you know Norcom has worked tremendously for the village of Bellwood.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
So one thing I want to touch on real quick is what Director Harvey just stated. This is a partnership, and it's a partnership with all of our communities. It's got to be a two-way street. It's not you're going to Norcom, that's it, wash your hands of it. It's not. It's a two-way street. It requires the cooperation of all the stakeholders involved to get the best out of it. We're going to close our presentation. One thing I strongly encourage is that the elected officials come and tour the Norcom 911 Center. You know, some of you have, some haven't. And also, it's an open invitation to the public as well. So if anyone wants to tour our 911 Center in Franklin Park, you can see any one of us after the presentation. We'll be happy to give you our contact information and provide you with a tour of the facility. And with that, we'll open it up to any questions.
Board members have any questions?
I'd rather Don say it.
Anybody? No? If you wouldn't mind, what we're going to do is go into the public comments and questions, or maybe some questions that may be derived from the public that if you have the answers to or whatever, that possibly you could share. So if you wouldn't mind.
Greg, could you get a microphone out there in case somebody wants to speak?
Okay.
What's it? We don't have an action.
The way we handle public comments and questions, I'm not sure if you filled out any sheets if you'd like to speak. If you have, I think they are turned into our clerk, and she can call those. If you still want to speak, why don't you form a line on the side there, and when you come up to the microphone, introduce yourself with your name and address for our board records and minutes. Try to keep the comments to 3 minutes in length. We've got a timer. There seems to be a lot of people today that may want to have comments. And if we can answer, we'll answer. If the NORCOM people are here, if it's a question for them, you could certainly pose it to them as well. Questions, open it up. Anyone would like to speak, please step up to the microphone again.
You know what, sir, you may want to just go right behind.
Let's line up on this side, Bill, and we'll kind of go from there.
My name's Carl Solostino. I live at 928 Newcastle. I'm here tonight to present the board with a petition to the village president and the board of trustees of the village of Westchester. We, the undersigned, oppose the outsourcing of the 911 emergency communications to a for-profit company. To ensure the continued health, welfare, and safety of the residents, we believe that emergency communications should be conducted within village-owned facilities by village personnel who are employed directly by the village of Westchester and are responsible to the village residents. We have over 334 signatures, which I will present to the village clerk. As members of the board may know, my wife is one of the dispatchers. But what members may not know is that on the night of the village's greatest emergency, she was on duty. And she was scheduled to leave at 1 o'clock a.m. But she remained on shift until the next morning, and she stayed there until she legally could not work anymore. She walked home through waist-high sewage water, came home, slept, and in the early afternoon, with the flood water still rising towards our home, she left and came back and reported to work. Not knowing when her shift would end, but more importantly, not knowing if she would have a home to return to. This is dedication. This is professionalism. This is a commitment to the village residents. This is also will not be found on any cost-benefit analysis. And even though she did not swear an oath upon obtaining employment, she does feel a duty to the residents that she considers her neighbors, and she is proud to work for this village. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Lawrence Mulcrone. I did fill out one of those sheets. I live in 10542 Waterford in Westchester. I've been a resident since 1999. By way of background, and this is all relevant to my comments, started as a military police officer in the Army, was an Elmhurst police officer, then was appointed as a special agent to the Illinois State Police. I retired as a lieutenant colonel in the Illinois State Police, and I oversaw operations in all of northern Illinois, from Lake Michigan to the Mississippi, from I-80 up to the Wisconsin border, and I oversaw the communications in those districts as well. Upon retiring from the state police, I was a senior director of security and safety in McCormick Place in Navy Pier. And in that capacity, we built a $6 million control room that was so state-of-the-art that it is considered a tertiary response location in case the Chicago 911 or 311 centers go down. And I oversaw both the management and operations of the construction and later on the operations. My consulting company coordinated a merger consolidation of a 911 center in Porter County, Indiana, where Valparaiso was. We took the merger of 18 fire and police departments, as well as several emergency management services agencies, That merger is going extremely well. All participants, police chiefs and fire chiefs, are extremely happy with that operation. More importantly, I was on the Westchester 911 Commission when it first started. Worked with Greg and his people. They're doing a fantastic job. I was on that commission for almost 5 years, retired from that in 2009. Worked with the previous fire chief and also Chief Smith and Evans. Why am I here? Went to Mass Saturday night at Divine President, walked out, and here's a flyer on my car. Come to the meeting, talk about 911. And I feel as a resident, as a retired police commander, 911 commissioner, and now consultant, that I needed to talk about this issue. I co-authored an article for the Illinois Municipal League on consolidation and how to save money for communities. This is one of the issues that we discussed, is the consolidation of 911 centers. Technology changes every 2 or 3 years. It is not sustainable going forward. And if you consider where you're going for the next 10 years, consolidation is the move that everyone is making. The Illinois State Police recently consolidated all of its communication centers. We went from 22 down to 4. It works. I ran the operations in District Chicago, and we consolidated with the Cook County Sheriff at that time. Worked very well, continues to be working well. I would strongly suggest that the decision that you make, you consider a 10-year plan. If you decide to continue to maintain this center, you must fund it fully, and you must upgrade the equipment. If, however, as I believe, you choose to consolidate, I think you will have proper and adequate service to the citizens of this wonderful college. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Nancy Celestino. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Close enough. Anyway, I have a question for Norcom people, and that is, what's the ratio of full-time to part-time?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but rough estimates about 85% full-time.
And the base pay would be?
45,000.
My question is, how much money are we saving? Because that's really what it's all about. It's about money. Everything is about money. Everything. That, and how much knowledge does the entire village have that Norcom might be our next consolidation? I don't know. Because everybody I spoke to was like, really? I never heard of that. And I was like, what do you mean you never heard of that? Yeah, that's common knowledge. But they didn't. So 2 questions to the board. How much money are we saving for 7 bodies? I've heard a lot of figures thrown around. 45,000 as the base rental. If you're talking about that for regular police dispatchers, if each person made $50,000 a year, which I don't think is happening, 7 times 5, or 7 times 7, 49,000. Come on, we're talking nickel and dime here. By the large scale of things, it ain't nothing. How many people are sitting on their bottoms, doing nothing, getting more exorbitant salaries in this village? And you all know what I'm talking about. So, what's the story? I'm below my
You want
experience, right?
Ann?
Thank you. Anybody?
Shoot.
Finance Director. Our preliminary estimates are in the first year of operations, comparing our current service level, which is not a 24-hour emergency medical dispatch, to what Norcom can offer. In the first year, we would save $175,000. And once those startup costs are not a part of the factor, on an ongoing basis, we would save approximately $500,000 a year. Our early projections over 5-year savings are about $2.1 million over 5 years, comparing.
The math, and I didn't come up with that figure. And if you're talking about 8 people being dispatchers at $45,000 a year, you're going to come up with a lot more money.
Ma'am, it's not just salary, it's salary, benefits, capital costs. We have
And
capital
they're saying
outlay
the same
for
thing.
computer
Aren't
costs.
people, if there are 85% people getting full-time benefits, aren't they getting the same thing?
It's much more than salary. If we retain services in-house, we have, at a low estimate, a capital input to make over $200,000 to upgrade our consoles.
Talking about more people making exactly the same amount of money, getting greater benefits.
No, ma'am. It's currently, our E911 dispatch is currently costing this village approximately $1 million per year, with all combined costs total.
$1 million. Okay, thanks. Thanks for the heads up.
Bill Stutzman, I'm president of the Combined Counties Police Association. We represent the dispatchers. I want to thank you for being allowed to come here and address the board. My issue is not really with Norcom. I'm not here to bash them. They're a private company. They're out to make money. They're out to grow. What I take issue at is how this whole situation was handled. Everyone keeps saying consolidation, and it's not a consolidation. It's a termination. 7 employees are going to lose their jobs here. There's no guarantee that they're going to go with Norcom. The best I've heard, the figure was thrown out earlier today when we met, 4 of them might go or possibly could go with Norcom. There's no guarantee that these people will be able to hire on with Norcom. You know, this whole situation seems to be rushed through. I've been involved with Westchester since 1997. The professionalism of our dispatchers never been questioned. They do many of the same things already that was described by Norcom. And they're being penalized because some of our equipment is outdated. And what really kind of irritates me a little bit is not once did anybody come to us. We're willing to do concessions. We found out when this was put on the village agenda. And I really find that a difficult situation when we've had such a good working relationship with the village that nobody took the courtesy to even say, hey, we're contemplating this. Is there something the union can do on this to help us out? We are willing. We met earlier today. What we're asking is that the village table this issue to give us an opportunity to sit down if there is something we can do. You know, if you're going to put to us a figure of $180,000, save us $180,000 and we'll go with you. It's impossible. There's 7 dispatchers. There's no way we can save $180,000. But there are things we can do, and I don't know if you have taken in all the considerations of additional costs. I don't know if you know the true cost of what this is going to cost you. I would assume you want to staff your front desk 24/7. I've been told 2 clerks can do it day and evening. What about midnights, Saturday and Sunday? It's going to take hiring extra people to cover that. That's an extra cost. All we want is the opportunity to sit down and see our people want to work for Westchester. They like working here. I would think that you'd like to hear what the residents had to say about all this. You know, there's no reason to push this through so quickly. And we were told because we forced the issue by handing leaflets out and getting the public involved. Well, the public should know something about this. You represent the public. I would think you'd want to know how they feel about this situation. It's our jobs that we're losing. That's the reason we went out and did this, is to make people aware. So I hope you can table this and sit down with us and see if there's something we can work out.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Neil Faulkner. I live on Mandel. Don't have a PowerPoint, sorry about that. One of the things I heard tonight is consolidation is here, and I accept that. I see it's happening all over the place. But why Norcom? I don't have anything against it, no offense, but I haven't heard about anyone being solicited for other bids. There's got to be other companies. If there are no other companies, why are we giving something to essentially what is a monopoly? Because they control the price structure there. So jumping into Norcom, while they have a great presentation, and they do, you didn't, from what I hear, and please correct me if I'm wrong, solicit other people, and I think that's necessary. I work in sales, and I do have to go with competitive bids all the time. And it's important to get those bids and get those other presentations, because sometimes, unfortunately, I get beat and I have to sell something to someone. So that is one of my questions. Why the urgency? I guess I've learned that today because some of our equipment is running out of its effective usage. But when it comes down to NORCOM, how does it differ from our 911? Would our own 911 department be able to present to you folks what NORCOM just did in a public forum? Would they be able to show some of the benefits? Would they be able to play some of their emergency calls? This is a well put together program, but I think there's going to be other people to present to you. You guys should be able to look at what's out there as best. I saw that they're part of the Illinois TERT. Why can't Westchester join the Illinois TERT? I saw there were other communities on there when I was looking on the site. I came with a list of questions. They got modified as the presentation went on. I appreciate your time. Mr. President, trustees. There's one thing about the word trustees, though. Trustees means trust. We trust you to run our village. We trust you to make difficult decisions. But with that trust, you have to do the important task of keeping us informed. We did find out about this late. It should be something that should be opened up. We should be able to hear these things and be on an open forum. This is a great little town, and I'm excited to now becoming part of the equation. I wasn't before. I am now. And I believe that as I continue to try to make every meeting I can, I will be asking questions that I find important to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Anna Russo Plata. I basically was born in Westchester, lived here my whole life, grew up, got married, and bought a home in Westchester. I'm presently now a widow and trying to hold on to my house in Westchester. I think every person that I have talked to regarding this had no knowledge of it. My neighbors and everything, which tells me one thing, and most of us in here, that it seems like this is being pushed way too fast and almost under the sneak. Nobody wants to get rid of our personal 911 dispatch. My husband died a year and a half ago from cancer. He was also in dialysis. I owned a business in Elmhurst. Instead of picking up the phone one morning and calling 911, he called me at work. I'm in Elmhurst. I picked up the phone, called 911. By the time that the firemen and policemen got to him, it had to be 15 minutes at a heart rate of 150 and a fever at 104. Minutes are crucial. And I can't see how calling Melrose Park, where there is no familiarity with our town, can be way better for us citizens. Especially the fact that, if I'm correct, we're being hit with one of the biggest tax hits Proviso Township around. And I feel now you're taking away our services. It just doesn't make sense, and it should be tabled, because you have a lot of residents in this town that have no knowledge of this going on, and that's wrong. Again, the trustees in this village are here for us, for the residents, and we pay good taxes in this town. So there should be no reason where should we get second-rate service. And I can't see where, this outsourcing can be better. And some things don't always boil down to the dollar sign. And that's all I'm hearing tonight, is the dollar sign. And you're messing with people's health. And their safety. So that's that, and I think, there's a lot of people in the village that feel the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm also a Westchester resident. I just moved in about a year ago. Love the town, nice and quiet.
Would you please identify yourself for the record?
Sorry, my name is Giuseppe Scarpelli. I'm actually an employee of NORCOM. Moved in town about a year ago. Been with NORCOM for about 7 years now. I also am a supervisor on the police side. I also am the lead GIS analyst that handles all the mapping that you saw earlier. Been numerous occasions where we've, one that particularly stands out, where we actually had a child call 911, similar to your story, Mr. Novik, where he was actually playing on the phone, as we figured out, but he had called in an emergency that his grandmother was unconscious. So through the GIS mapping software and the updated cell phone, we are actually able to locate the individual calling in a second floor apartment on top of the storefront. So with that, we were able to send officers there. That's just some of the services we provided. I'm actually also a part-time auxiliary police officer and a part-time firefighter in the division also. So I've worked with the company for this long, and I think we provide a good service. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I ask that everybody please silence your phones in order that it does not disturb the conversation? Thank you.
A little shorter than everyone else, I'm sorry. My name is Jamie Wyckoff. I'm a resident of Westchester. I'm also a dispatcher with Norcom. On a personal note, I'm sensing that there's a lot of apprehension because you feel like, or the residents feel like, because we're based in Franklin Park, we will not have knowledge of Westchester, or somehow our dispatch will be delayed. I can assure you that this is not the case. I walk these streets with my daughter. I go to these parks with my daughter. Westchester is not going to be just another town on the list of many towns that we dispatch for. Westchester is my home, and I will treat and handle every caller as my neighbor, as they should be treated. And I just want to make myself available to answer any questions from a dispatcher point of view that anyone might have.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marielle Newhouse, and I'm a resident in town of Newcastle. I kind of have just an easy question. We put so much trust in the fire and the police chiefs. I just want to know if you guys support this.
Very difficult to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just asked if the fire and police chiefs support this. I mean, we put all of our trust into them. I just kind of want to know how they feel.
Given the position we're in, we have to make decisions that are tough at times, but in the best interest of the community. And given the fact that this is the trend, everybody everywhere is consolidating, and it's unsustainable. Somebody earlier spoke about comparison of the starting salaries being $45,000. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, Westchester dispatchers are the highest paid pretty much in this area. And combine that with the maintenance and the upgrading every 2 years. You all know, most of you have cell phones. Technology goes that quick. It's unsustainable.
Both our dispatch and Norcom do provide quality dispatch services. Norcom definitely has the affordability to have provide the EMD, which is definitely a level of service that we struggle and can't provide 24 hours a day. Financially, it's a hard thing to argue, and I'm a resident in this town as well, so quite honestly, I'm on the fence with the whole thing. I won't lie to you about it. Again, it's a tough decision. I think either way we go, I still think we'll provide the best service to the residents of our village. So, right.
Thank you.
My name is Don Edmonds. I'm a resident of Westchester since 1977. I'd like to know, with a topic this important to the village, why wasn't the village given more information about it, firstly? And secondly, if you have work done on your home, you normally try and get 3 or 4 estimates. Why are we only getting 1? I've been a resident, as I say, for all these years. I've had no complaints with the 911 service. And I know it's a dollar and cents issue, but I'd like to see more discussion and more transparency with the village. Mr. Puglia, you send out a nice letter every month. I don't recall seeing this topic in the letter for this last month.
This started out as a budgetary item in the budget meeting and morphed into the discussions here. We have been, for the last couple of years, we did a study trying to consolidate Broadview, Hillside, and Westchester. We've been working on that for 2 years and did not come to any fruitful operation with the communities at best. NORCOM presently provides fire service to our area. We did look at West Suburban in the Oak Park area when we were talking about consolidation. DUCOM is DuPage County. We're not part of that piece. We don't belong to the county. And the only other one around here is down in Palos Heights, Palos Park area, Southwest Central Dispatch, which I'm familiar with as well. NORCOM is the closest. The Village of Bellwood is on our Net 17 radio system. We hear their calls, they hear our calls. They're already at NORCOM. There's some commonality between Westchester and certainly Bellwood that NORCOM's already doing. If we went down to Southwest Central Dispatch, they don't have our radio frequencies. All that would have to be added on. This is probably the closest center to us. It's a few miles down the road, and it seems to be a potential cost-saving opportunity for us that other municipalities, Melrose Park, Stone Park, Bellwood, and others already belong to. So not to reinvent the wheel, I think going down all the way to Palos Heights is a little bit, further than I think we'd rather go, even though I'm familiar with that center, being the chief of Willow Springs, and was looking at consolidation as well down in that area. So that center does a great job. I know NORCOM does a great job. I know Northwest Central Dispatch in the Arlington Heights area does a good job. I know CENTCOM, all these places, DUCOM, that's been doing all of DuPage County with the exception of a few communities for 20 to 25 plus years. So this is maybe new in the discussion phase, but it started out as budgets because we are trying to balance our budget this year. We have a number of things that are impacting us, with the state possibly taking away some local distributive funds, the 911 fund on the cellular side possibly being reduced. We don't, as been proposed here, we do not offer emergency medical dispatch with pre-arrival instructions. And that's one of the hallmarks I think that we should be doing. And as the person that put the 911 center together in 1990 and 1991, and through my tenure here in 2003 and being in charge of that center, I saw value in having a central dispatch, whether it be 2 towns, 3 towns, or going to a center. We tried those things. I would like nothing better than to have 3 towns here in my center, but that was not the operation. So this is the next piece of it. I'm sorry?
Is there a sense of urgency regarding this decision?
Well, there's a sense of, well, here's the sense of urgency as I see it. When somebody calls up and says, my husband is having a heart attack or my wife is having a heart attack, I want to be able to have a dispatch person from wherever flip to that flip chart that went around here and go to the pre-arrival instructions and do exactly like that dispatch person did for the Bensonville woman whose husband was having a problem, until such time as our paramedics get to take over. It is just that simple. We are not able to do that. There's no 2 people working around the clock. There's vacation times to take up. Who's coming to do that? Who's trained to answer those calls? I looked at all these protocols here, and I'm amazed. I'm amazed at the competency and level of service that could be provided by this particular company. And I've seen it before. I've seen it before. I want to make sure that when somebody calls, sir, that you're having a problem with a heart attack or whatever, that our dispatch people are riding that trail with you until our fire department paramedics, who are one of the best in this area, can start handling your situation. And if it takes giving medicine, if it takes talking somebody to do CPR, which I have done as a dispatcher. I started as a dispatcher in 1972 in Addison, then was hired here in 74 and took over the reins of 911 in 1990 and ran the whole center. Hired people, discharged people, did everything possible to bring the best possible service to the village of Westchester, bar none. Having all the training protocols in place. So we had emergency medical dispatch even before there was a requirement to do it. And have actually been behind the console giving out pre-arrival instructions and telling some loved one how to do CPR in an attempt to make a successful save of some person. Those are the things that we do. And I know our dispatchers have done that to the best of their ability. When there's not two people in the center, it is impossible to do that. Stay on the phone and give those type of instructions and stay on the phone as long as that young lady did with the other calls coming, with dispatching other cars to go. There's not enough staff. You want to hire another 2 people or 2.5 people to try to accommodate this request? We can do it. However, where's the money coming from? That's the question. Where is the money coming from to pay the salaries and to pay even the new people? I'd love to do it. If there's a revenue stream that's out there, that's untapped, that we could tap to try to make it work, I'm all for it. But the way the state is going, we applied for a grant for $200,000 for a back-end system of our 911 in 2009. Came out in the Capitol bill. We have not gotten $1 from the state. The state is not forthcoming in any dollar sense to assist anything or anybody. And now they're looking at taking away potentially $11.40 per capita for our local distributives' share on the sales tax money. And that's just on the horizon. 192, whatever it is. I want the best service. Norcom knows it. I told them here last time we were here, my expectations. My expectations are high. I was on the other side of that radio system. I dispatched. I handled calls. I did mouth-to-mouth on people. I did a lot of things to try to save people's lives that I expect our people to do. I want to make sure that when you call up for an emergency, that we're 100% prepared to give you the best quality service across the phone or your loved one to try to save your life. That's the bottom line. So,
I felt that I've been getting that service since I've been here, since '77.
Well,
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, it seems that there's been an implication that this matter was somehow secreted from the public, and I'd just like to remind everybody that this matter was first discussed at a budget hearing, which was a public and posted meeting of this village board, and it was also the subject of a village board meeting in February. I believe it was February 26th at the committee of the whole meeting, which the village posted once again. So any implication that this was kept under the radar is simply not correct.
Sir, you're up, Mr. Belmonte.
Thank you. I'm Tony Belmonte. My parents first moved into Westchester on Mayfair behind the high schools there in 1963. I moved into their home in 1993. I have used the paramedics quite a few times personally. Always pleased. I'm still here. As I tell people...
And we're glad you are.
Thank you. As I tell people, I'm not old. I'm 76. I'm getting older, and what brought me here tonight was a flyer put under my windshield wiper in front of the church Sunday. It's what brought me here was that flyer. I must admit, I don't come to trustee meetings all the time. Shame on me. I should. They're very interesting and informative. I trust that people don't feel, as you said, sir, that it's been secretive, it's been out there. Shame on me if I don't avail myself to it. But I look forward every month, Sam, to your newsletter, if you will. I did not see anything there. Look around the room here, and I see a lot of people, not old, but we're getting older. And we certainly make more use as we get older of the services provided. People are concerned about costs. What's the price of a life? Can't answer that. Is this service going to be cheaper to the village? I hope so. From what I heard here, it will be. How many more lives will be saved because of the training involved? My own son is the deputy sheriff out in Kendall County. He's had a lot of this training. Okay, training is not stagnant; it's ongoing, and it makes all of us better in whatever profession we are. So I look forward to something like that. I came because I also felt, what's going to happen to our dispatchers? I don't know how many are on board, but will some lose their jobs? What's the benefit to them? I hope, as I heard these gentlemen speak, we have a reassurance that they will be looked at and hired. No commitment to hire all of them, but that's life, okay? I see it. I promised my wife I would not get up and talk tonight, but here I am. All I can say is transparency, it was offered. Shame on me, I didn't see it. Okay. And so something should be better done in a more open fashion, wrong word, but prior to a meeting like this. And the last thing is I'm out of time. So I'll say goodnight and thank you for letting me voice my opinion.
Thank you for being here. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay. Certainly, I thank everyone for their heartfelt comments and that. Again, this isn't an easy decision. I think as under the active agenda under 8.
Sam, can I say something?
Oh, sure.
You know, I hear everybody talking out there, and I understand. You know, a couple phrases were put out. Put the 3 minutes on if you want. Representing as a trustee, representing the public. Trustee means trust, asking questions. I feel as a trustee, I have to look out for 16,000 plus residents. I have to look out for 100 plus employees. I can't focus on 7. I have to look out what's best for everybody. The question about dollars comes up, and the comment was, well, it's just not about dollars. Well, unfortunately, it is about dollars. I've been in finance for 30 years, and when I worked for companies, and guess what? Lines cross, meaning you spend more than you get in. That's what we are right now. It's called deficit spending. We're not sitting around going on wild trips. 80+% of our budget is contractual labor. Those are dollars that have to go out. So as a trustee, I have to look at and say, what's best for Westchester? Where can I save money so I don't have to lay off 10 more people to subsidize 3? That's what's going through my mind. I'm not sitting going and saying, you know, where can I save money? Where can I save money? I understand people are employed. I've lost my job. I've been pushed around. I understand that. But you know what? I have to look at what's best for Westchester. And by looking at these things and saying, this may put 300,000 plus to the year. This may put 400,000. I may save more jobs in the public, in the fire department, in the police department, in the public works, where those are the services you're getting also. So just keep that in mind as when you're sitting there watching us. That's what's going through our mind also. Thank you.
Any other trustees want to comment before we wrap this up? I can assure you it'll be in the April issue of the newsletter. The newsletter deadline is the 15th of the month. This was a budget hearing that was after that, so all my article is in. I haven't started writing for April as yet, but I can assure you that the comments and information that I generally put in the newsletter will reflect this. So, okay, is there any public hearings this evening?
No, there are not.
All right. Item number 7, we have the consent agenda, A through G. We have bills. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull out the minutes of the regular board meeting February 12th, minutes of the regular cow meeting February 12th.
All right. Okay, so item under C. All right, let's run through it. We have the record of bills under A, department reports, approval of minutes, ordinance amending the liquor sale, businesses license regulations, resolution authorizing termination agreement village with Red Speed, resolution approving agreement between the village and Safe Speed, and a motion ratifying the appointment of Bruce Hork, Chamber of Commerce liaison to the EDC board. Now we have under item C, number I and double I is pulled out. Is there anything else?
D, E, and F.
D, E, F. Anything else? Anything else? If not, is there a motion and a second to approve items A, B in its entirety, C, 3, and G as in George?
So moved. Second.
Brian, and who was the second? Frankie? Roll call, please.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Polya?
Aye, motion carries. Under CI, the minutes of the regular board meeting of February 12th, 2013, motion and a second to approve. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Tom, and who was the second? Nick? Wally, discussion on that?
I was not at the meeting, so.
Okay.
I just point out you're able to vote on
I
them.
understand, but I
Okay.
feel more comfortable.
Sure. Abstaining? Okay.
That's
All right,
counts.
Can we put both of them together since he wasn't at?
is that
That's fine.
the reference to both, Wally?
Yeah.
There was nothing in error on
No,
those?
nothing in error.
Okay.
I just was not
All right,
at the
can we change the motion to reflect an approval of the February 12th board and cow? Tom and Nick?
So moved.
So moved? Okay. Kathy, please call the roll.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Novak?
Abstain.
Mr. Polya?
Aye, motion carries. Item number D, ordinance amending the liquor sale, business license, and regulations of the municipal code. Motion second to approve. Motion by
So moved.
Second.
Wally and Brian?
Yep.
Tommy, discussion on that, sir?
I just want to vote on this separately. Since
Separately?
it's pertaining to the park.
Oh, okay. There's a motion and a second on the floor for the approval. Kathy, please call the roll.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Abstain.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Polya?
Aye, motion carries. Item number E, resolution authorizing the termination of the agreement with Red Speed. Motion and a second. Motion?
So moved.
Frankie, second.
Second.
And Nick? Tom, I think you pulled this discussion as well.
I think we should table this for further discussion at a later date. Both of these, E and F together.
Both D and E?
E and F.
E and F.
E and F.
E and F.
Sorry.
Okay, there's a motion on
Can I make
the
a motion to
floor
table?
for
Can I make a motion?
approval. Is there a change of motion for tabling?
I'd like to table.
That's fine.
Both? So of E and F?
Yes.
So the motion from Frank and Nick will reflect a
Ta-
tabling
yes,
of
please.
E and F,
Yes,
correct?
please.
Okay. Kathy, please call the roll. This is a motion to table both E and F to a later time.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Okay, item number 8, the active agenda, motion to authorize the execution of the agreement with Norcom. Is there any motions? Wally.
I'd like to make a motion to table this.
I'd like to second that motion.
Wally, and who was the second? And Frank?
I'd actually like to, but I'd like to put a stipulation that it would be up for vote in the first meeting in April. I don't know.
That'll be April
Any concurrence?
9th.
April 9th.
April 9th meeting.
I just want to make sure we
Can-
complete our budgetary process.
I was going to ask, can we leave it to the later meeting in April so that we have time to finish the budgetary process?
Because I thought we were finishing up in March the 2nd.
I don't think so.
What?
I think we're going to get pushed off. Because we have
But don't we have to approve the budget by the last meeting?
by April 30th.
April 30th?
There will be a scheduled meeting April 23rd.
So
So
what
if we-
meeting would you like to table it to, my friends?
So if we can postpone this April 23rd?
That's fine.
That's fine.
April 23rd on the date? Okay. There's a motion by Wally and Frank for the tabling till April 23rd meeting. Kathy, please call the roll.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries as well. Item number 9, managers report.
Okay, just a few things to note. Just wanted to put out a reminder that we will be hosting ARP driver safety for the senior citizens on March 29th and 30th. Oh, if you're leaving the meeting, please hold your conversation until you're out of the building. Thank you. We will be having an ARP driver safety course for seniors. If seniors do complete this course, they will get a reduced rate on their automobile insurance. If you're interested, call Molly at the Village Hall. Also wanted to make note that this Friday, March 15th, Mayor Puglia will be hosting a senior breakfast at 8 a.m. at St. Joe's Global Resource Center. So if you haven't already made your reservations, again, please give Molly a call at Village Hall. That's all I have this evening.
Great. Mr. Attorney, anything?
No report except for executive session. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll do that after the cow, correct? Okay. Chief Padlick, any report to add?
All I have is that on the 29th of this month, our newest recruit, probationary officer Rizzo, will be graduating the Celia Academy, and looking forward to him joining our police department.
Chief Adams.
Just 2 things. If you haven't changed your clock ahead, last Saturday night was change your clock, which means change your batteries and your smoke detectors, please. Also, this Friday, March 15th, my candidate, Nicholas Snavely, will be successfully completing his academy as well.
Thank you. Annie.
Good evening. Few quick things. Vehicle sticker renewals will be mailed on Friday, so you should be seeing those the first part of next week. Once you have your renewal notice, you can purchase your vehicle sticker online at westchester-il.org, or you may purchase it by mail. There are instructions on the card. Or you may come into the Village Hall from 8:30 to 5 on Monday through Friday, and we would be happy to assist you in person. Secondly, the bond closing occurred this morning. The village received net bond proceeds of $5,682,475 to be used for road projects. These bonds are supported by the 1% non-home rule sales tax revenue approved by voters last November.
Thank you. Gregory.
How soon is the general fund going to be repaid, Wally or Brian?
Immediately.
Done.
Tomorrow morning?
Already done.
Check's got to clear first, right? Okay.
They knew we'd be asking.
Gregory.
Nothing specific to report. I've got a few things on the cow that I'll be discussing openly.
Just want to ask you, being the IT guy and the 911 supervisor, and that new NG 911 that was presented, is that in place now, or is there a date of implementation of that?
It's still being worked on with the FCC in determining a specific date, similar to Phase 2. And I didn't get into it in the middle. I was going to discuss this at a later time. But with regards to Phase 2 911, the discussion that where they showed mapping, that is something that all communities have. That was based on an FCC ruling years ago. Westchester implemented that in 2008, where we can map and plot where cell phone calls are within
Is that
a
the
certain amount of
latitude
meters.
and longitude of
Not
location, or-
well. It's latitude and longitude would also display on a map. So not just giving a text, but also displaying that on a map. That's something we purchased in 2008.
Thank you.
But yes, next
was
generation.
on the NENA website today, looking at the new information, and it didn't appear to have an implementation date. It just said that, get ready, it's coming, so.
Yes.
Sir.
Presently, there is, Jackson County, Illinois is a beta test site for Next Generation 911. The president of Illinois NENA is located down there, and they went in with a consortium of agencies that are currently testing Next Generation 911 standards for the state of Illinois there.
Thank you. Anything else, Greg?
Oh, Cal.
Cal, okay. Dave? Kudos on the snow removal.
Absolutely.
You and your staff need a big hand with our 9 and 10 inches. We've received a number of emails from residents. In fact, I received a call. I was sick last week, and there was a call on my phone from a resident that said she went out to DuPage County, and it was terrible, and I won't use the correct English, but when she came into Westchester, the streets were clear as a bell, and she wanted to have that relayed to you, and I think I echo that sentiment from our whole board as we looked out our windows after the 10 inches and the one before that you jumped on that right away. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll relay those comments to our guys as well.
You also require not to have any more snow.
None.
I hope so too.
We got enough salt for the last 2 years.
The past month, the Public Works Department has, like as you mentioned, been active plowing and salting roads. We had 2 events in February, 1 in March. We've used up 802 tons of salt during those events. We've also fixed 3 water main breaks. We've been patching potholes and alley potholes. We removed 12 more ash trees. We've got 55 remaining this year. We've also been cleaning catch basins in the southwest portion of town. And we also had a new supervisor start with our department last Monday, Carl Mill, who's doing very well and jumping right in. It's been a huge benefit to our department so far.
Thank you. Melissa,
Good
Economic
evening.
Development, Community Development. What are we doing?
Just wanted to let everybody know the Economic Development Committee had sent out, we've been working on a business retention survey, and we sent it out electronically last Monday. We've got about a 10% response rate for all the emails that were sent out. We're going to be sending out paper copies in the mail, and it's also, there's a link on our website, so if you're a business owner in town, please go to our website and fill out the survey. We're trying to get as many responses as possible. Just so that everybody knows, if you didn't already, the Dunkin' at 31st and Wolf opened, I believe it was a week ago Tuesday. And also, just so that everybody's aware, the Plan Commission is meeting this Thursday to do a workshop on starting to look at doing the zoning code update.
Thank you. Kathy, anything for the order? Our clerk. Okay. Great job with the timing. Great job.
Good job, Kat.
Board members, anything to add?
EDC was actually kind of busy this week. We talked about signage being posted on the entryways into the village, stating the business districts. We went over a business facade program. We're still compiling the village-wide calendar, encompassing all the bodies of our town. As Melissa said, the business survey, and we were going over the election of the EDC officers.
Before we jump into the other committees, Mark Zesch, our village engineer, I see you in the back. Anything to add to of what's going on with our road construction and things of that nature?
Right now, Mayor, we're continuing with the cleaning of the sanitary sewers and televising, and proceeding with the lining as well on the South Basin, 384.
384 South, yes.
And plan preparation for hull and bond are nearing completion, and will be ready very shortly.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Nick?
You know, I got stuff in the cow in regards to E911 with the electronic sign, finally. Police and fire, you know, I was at the firehouse. I'm waiting for the minutes from the Police and Fire Commission meeting now.
I know they had a meeting last night as well.
Yeah, I was on duty.
Wally? Green Committee.
Green Committee. Actually, Carl's standing in the back. I'd like to thank Carl for stepping up to the to chair the committee. They've been doing a great job. I've been absent with my injury. They set up the dates for the e-recycling, which starts in April, the second Saturday in April.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, anybody that you know needs a little bit of that workout, that little energy, that little wants to burn off some energy, please contact the village or contact the Green Committee to help out in the e-recycling. It's great. It's fun. I guarantee you will be a lot of laughs. The new trustees coming on board, I suggest being out there. It's your duty, it's your obligation, and you have to. We need help out there. So I would just like to say, I'd extend a welcome. Carl, do you have anything?
Thank you. Didn't mean to put on the spot.
That's okay.
And I don't mean to put the Public Works Director on the spot. The one issue, just by the two containers that we store all the electronics in, the pavement is buckling and it tends to pool water, and the problem is if we have to get there was on a couple occasions, moderate rainstorms turned that whole area into a flood bath, and we actually had to try to dam up some areas and try to push back water into the sewer well. I know it's kind of tough as an engineering thing, but if there's anything that we do, anything to be done with the pavement around those two storage containers, just because, like I said, if there is rain that day or the night before, there is a considerable amount of ponding right in front of the areas, and it just makes it tougher. And like I said, the last time we had to use pallets to walk over, which actually would be kind of unsafe. So if there is, I know hot patch plants aren't open, but if there is anything that could be done in that general area, it would make it easier, like I said, and if there is any rain, it would mitigate that.
In fact, I'm going to recommend, can you please look at that and get something done? Thank you.
No problem. I didn't mean to put you on silence. It's okay. Thank
And
you.
also, Carl, the April 27th cleanup day, I know the WCIC and certainly groups are, and Janet mentioned that as well, but that's another date, a Green Committee opportunity as well for volunteers.
I know you and I have traded emails. We got to talk about that and try to get stuff coordinated. Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. Thomas?
We have a meeting tomorrow at 7. I have nothing else besides.
On the CAB?
Yeah.
Brian, anything to add
Nothing.
to the game? Okay. Board President report, I think I spoke enough. 2 meetings in a row, so I have no comment. You certainly know how passionate I am about our 911 system, being the designer in that as well. Okay. I had pneumonia last week, so it's taking its turn. Okay, is there a motion, a second, to adjourn our board meeting and go into the cow?
So moved.
Second.
Wally and Nick? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition, say no. Let's
Mr. President, we take 5.
What'd you say?
We take 5.
Yeah, let's
Wally,
take 5.
5.
Five.
Yes, the stretch, I know.
Thank you.